Hello, folks. Let me know if you can hear me and see me okay before I get started. Just going to refresh my own page here as well, just to make sure I can see all the comments. Hello, can you hear me and see me? Just leave a comment, folks, if you can see me and hear me okay. I'm not seeing any comments on my side yet. There we go. Vish, how are you doing, buddy? I've just been on the FPL show via Skype, so that was a bit strange. Never done that before, so I got to say hello to Mark Southerns for the first time. Yeah, strange doing a Skype that's live around the world. It's a bit odd sitting in your kitchen and talking to the world. So keep an eye out for that tomorrow. Tomorrow morning you should be able to watch that on the Premier League website. I know it goes live in some countries, so some of you might have been able to catch it tonight. I'm not even sure what countries it goes live in. But anyway, game week 18. So this is going to be the last live stream until the new year. I'm just going to take these out because I can hear everything I'm saying. So yeah, I'm heading back to Ireland tomorrow, and so looking forward to taking a break. Just enjoying time with the family and hopefully watching as much of the games as possible as well. Four game weeks coming up now in the next 4 game weeks in the next 2 weeks, I think it is. So it's a crazy time, but it's a good time. So lots of potential to pick up a bit of momentum. If you can get 3 or 4 green arrows during the next 4 weeks, when some of your mini league rivals maybe sleeping, it's a good time to make up some ground. So I'm going to do about a half an hour live stream, and then that'll be me on my holidays for a week or two. As I mentioned, I'll be online Friday. So next Friday, the 28th. I'll get on WhatsApp and Slack for a couple of hours that day ahead of game week 21. Is it 21? No, ahead of game week 20. And then on New Year's Eve on the 31st, I'll be online in the morning time from about 9 a.m. till 1 lunchtime. So I'll get back to as many people as I can. And I'll get on Slack for a wee while as well, just to try and I don't want to disappear completely. And every move I make during this holiday and I'll post my team before each deadline on the Patreon page. So I probably won't post it on the Slack group chat. But if you want to know what I'm doing, just check this Patreon page before each deadline, and my team will be there. I'll make sure I won't forget to do that. I'll post it every week, before every game week, that is. So tomorrow, I'm pretty set on doing my 3 moves that I've been talking about all week. So Salah's going to go for Sterling. Mitrovic is going to go after 1 week for Danny Ings, and that's going to allow me to get Sané in as well for Maddison. So that's going to be a -4, and I feel that sets me up pretty well for Christmas. That gives me Sterling, Sané, Hazard, and Aubameyang for the next couple of game weeks. So that feels good to me. The only other idea I looked at was instead of selling Salah, it was to sell Aubameyang instead, which would have been something like, it would have been a -4 as well. So Aubameyang to Ings, Maddison to Sterling, and then Danny Ward to Snodgrass. Yeah, so that's what it would have been. That's the other option. So that would be keeping Salah, keeping Mitrovic, Getting rid of Aubameyang for Ings and getting Sterling in for Maddison, and then Snodgrass for Danny Ward. So that would mean no Sané. So that was, I only actually looked at that today, and it's like, I kind of wish I didn't look at it because it's in my mind now. But I think I do prefer the Sané Sterling double up for the Palace game, and for the next few fixtures when Sané's in such good form. I want both of them. City have been hurting me for the last few weeks, and it feels, selling Salah is obviously dangerous, especially with Wolves and Newcastle next. But when I look at my team, I just prefer the look of two City midfielders instead of Salah. So that's where I'm going to go most likely. Danny Ings looks like he possibly might rise in price tonight. So I'll have a look after the stream, and I might do Mitrovic to Ings tonight, and then I'll just wait until tomorrow to do the other moves, just in case there's any surprises in the press conferences. The Ings one is the only one I'll probably do tonight, but if I make it tonight, I'll stick it on Patreon, so you'll know if I've acted early. So fire away, folks, with questions for Game Week 18. Questions for the next couple of weeks in general as well, I guess. This is the last live stream, so anything you want to ask, get it in now, and I'll answer as many of them as I can in the next 20-25 minutes. Vish is asking, did I bring a Santa gift? Santa gift for everyone? I'm afraid I forgot to get gifts. You know what? I'm terrible for Christmas shopping. I still haven't, despite my wife dragging me to the shops 3 or 4 times already. I still haven't got all my own Christmas presents sorted yet. So it's always a last minute rush for me. No doubt I'll be running around on Christmas Eve trying to get bits and pieces, like always. Question from Adam about points hits. Is it worth, if you're chasing a mini league leader, is it worth taking points hits to catch up? And I wouldn't go taking hits just because you're behind in a mini league. Just play your own game, and by now the way I play the game, I avoid points hits as much as possible unless they're calculated. And when I make them, they're quite often when I'm making 3 transfers like this week for a -4. So no, I wouldn't go looking to take points hits just because you're chasing. Just focus on your own team. Focus on making good decisions that more often than not are not points hits. And there's loads of time to catch up. We're only halfway through. There's huge gains to be made later in the season with double game weeks and blank game weeks. If you navigate them better than your rivals, very good chance you'll pass them out later in the season. So let them enjoy their time on top. It's May that matters, and that's hopefully where you'll be come May, Adam. Question from Lucas: who to start out of Doherty, Success, or Højbjerg? Per choices, but leaning towards Doherty, even though it's a likely blank. Yeah, so I had a lot of questions this week about, one of them was, start Doherty or look at Digne. That was a popular one. I think Digne is probably the better one there because of his set pieces. But your question, Lucas, I think Doherty's the one to start there. Success didn't start last game week, so he could be on the bench again. So a good chance of a 1-pointer there. Højbjerg, I never expect too much from him. Doherty, at least, unlikely Doherty gets a clean sheet this week. I think he's probably going to be my first sub this week. But if you have to play him, there's worse defenders that you can play than Doherty. At least there's always the chance that he gets forward and picks up an assist or a goal. Liverpool, Liverpool are the best defense in the league, and I'm not expecting much from Doherty this weekend if he does come on as my first sub. But I would start him over Success or Højbjerg this week. I actually think Wolves could frustrate Liverpool tomorrow night. I'm probably not going to see the game. I think my flight's at about 6 or 7 tomorrow, so I'll probably be in mid-air while Salah's playing, which is probably a good thing when I'm selling them. So I think Wolves could frustrate Liverpool. I expect Liverpool to win, and more than likely keep a clean sheet as well. But you never know with Doherty; he could get us something. He's been good to us this season so far, so maybe he'll get something against Liverpool to surprise us. Hi, Jason. What United players am I predicting will get a bounce with Solskjaer calling the shots? And what would I need to see from Lukaku or Pogba to make them viable? So, yeah, it's very interesting now that Solskjaer has come in. Before about an hour ago, I was actually looking up tickets to go to I said to myself, I'm not going to another United game until Mourinho's gone, because I'm not paying money to watch that kind of football. So as soon as Solskjaer came in, I started looking up some fixtures, and Newcastle are playing United at St James's Park on January 2nd. So I'm coming back to Glasgow on the 30th. So I'm considering going down to that game in Newcastle, because it's the closest Premier League stadium to me. It's about a 3-hour drive, and there's tickets for about 30 quid for that game. So I'm thinking about going to that one to see Solskjaer and the boys in action. But back to the question, what United players do I think will get a bounce? It's probably the attacking players that I'm probably most interested in. I'm not going to get anyone, it's always a wait and see for me when a team get a new manager. I always like to see how they set up, how they play. United could go out against Cardiff this weekend and play terribly and get a 0-0, 1-1 draw. So I always want to wait and see who plays, how they play as individuals and as a team under the new manager. Rashford, he's had a bit of form and he's a very good price, so he's interesting. Pogba's cheap. I expect to see him back playing well now that Mourinho's gone. I hope that it was just, whatever was going on between those two, that we'll see a better Pogba now, because he's been terrible. He's a 90 odd, 100 odd million pound player, and he's been terrible in midfield this season. So hopefully that Mourinho going will see him reignite his season. We know he has the talent, and he has the potential to be a very good FPL asset. So hopefully we'll get him firing and an option. Lukaku as well. He could get going again under Solskjaer. But again, it's just, there's so many question marks. It's a wait and see. And as well, defensively, are they going to shore things up at the back? I was reading a couple of things this week about Solskjaer from his time in Norway. I think he tend to rotate a lot, which is not a good sign. But, that doesn't mean he's going to rotate a lot at United. So again, even though the fixtures are great, it's just a wait and see, I think, with United assets. If they start performing, then they'll be on my watch list, and then we'll see. But I can't really see myself bringing any of them in over Christmas, to be honest. Question from Michael: what player is going under the radar that will come good in the coming weeks? What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up my watch list here, and I'm going to sort it by ownership and shout out a few players that are less than 5%, who are possibly flying under the radar. Yeah, just give me a wee second to get this open up. Right, sort by team selected by. So I'm looking at the low-owned players here. Lovren could be a decent option at Liverpool if he plays every week. They are the best defence in the league. But again, to me, Lovren is a short-term move, which I don't like. You're going to have to sell him at some point. Luca Digne is still only owned by 5% of managers. I'm eyeing him up to bring in on Boxing Day. I don't know if I'll get him on Boxing Day, but that's the ideal time to get him in. A lot of people are getting him in this week and playing him against Spurs instead of people like Ryan Bennett and Wan-Bissaka. And I think that's a good move as well. He could get something against Spurs. So Luca Digne, I think, even though he seems very popular on Twitter, he is under the radar because he's only 5% owned. I think he's a great pick. Dele Alli, 3.6% ownership. Great goal against Arsenal in midweek. I like Ali as well. It's too late now to get Son in because he's leaving. I think he's leaving after the United game, so I would avoid Son and I would go for Ali instead. KDB is an interesting one. Again, 3.5% ownership. I think he'll be eased back in though, so I would be wary of getting him in yet. He could easily be on the bench again this weekend. Snodgrass, playing out of his skin, 2.8% ownership. I think he'll continue to do well over the next 4 games, so he's a great alternative to Felipe Anderson. Deulofeu, if he can get regular starts, it's always too risky, I feel, to get Deulofeu though, because you never know if he's going to play. But less than 1% ownership, there's a differential right there. And strikers, the only one on my watch list less than 5% is Danny Ings, 4.4. So again, I've got high hopes for Ings. Huddersfield next and West Ham after that. Should have penalties, seems to be fitting in really well into this system under Haas and Hüttel. So I'm hopeful Danny Ings will do well next 2 weeks, and hopefully getting him in early will pay off. Mitrovic, I very rarely get rid of a player after just 1 week in my team, but watching Fulham last weekend, they're absolutely dreadful, and I really don't expect much from him. I'm going to sell him for Ings, and he'll probably go and punish me now against Newcastle. It's his former club, so he'll be fired up for that one. And the worry always is a yellow card there as well for Mitrovic. So it'll be interesting to see if he can avoid that, because he will be surely fired up. He'll probably get a lot of grief from the Newcastle fans. Well, some of them at least, I'm sure. So yeah, Mitrovic, I'm not expecting too much from him over the next few weeks. That's why he's going. But I fully expect him to punish me at the same time. That is Sod's law in FPL. Vish is asking my opinion on Harry Kane. Do I have any plans to bring him in for the festive period? I have absolutely no intention of getting Harry Kane. Just don't feel he's justifying his price tag this season. And I think there's better value in the likes of Dele Alli, possibly in the Spurs midfield. So I would be more inclined to go there with Ali in a 3-5-2 maybe, rather than getting Harry Kane. Aubameyang has been frustrating, and he didn't do much in the cup last night from what I seen. So I'm not very hopeful on Aubameyang this weekend, and I probably wouldn't captain him this weekend, given his form. And he's played 90 minutes in the last 5 games, I think, in all competitions. So that's a worry. I think it has to be City midfielders this weekend for captaincy, Sané or Sterling if you own them. I just really wouldn't feel comfortable captaining Aubameyang, and a lot of that is because he frustrated me last week when I had the armband on him. So I'm hoping he does well, but I do fancy the City midfielders more so. John Arledge, how are you doing, buddy? I like that -4, John. I like any move that brings in Hazard and Felipe Anderson. I really like it. And throw Danny Ings into that -4, and you've got a yes from me. I'm just looking at the players you're selling. You're going to sell Aubameyang, Fraser, and Richarlison. All pretty dangerous players to sell. It's a tough one, that one. Fraser, I would probably try and keep for this weekend if I owned them. Richarlison has great fixtures after this weekend, and Aubameyang has 2 great fixtures. But I do think I would prefer to own Hazard, Felipe Anderson, and Danny Ings if it was a straight shootout between those 3 against the other 3. But do think long and hard about selling those players before you pull the trigger. Vish, any player I wish I owned this game week that I don't have? Who would I like to own this week that I don't have? I'm just looking at the fixtures. There's nobody jumping out at me, which is a good sign. You know what? Probably Felipe Anderson. He's been superb every time I've watched him, and he's the kind of player I don't like watching because it always looks like he's going to do something. So he's probably the one that I don't own this weekend, who I would like to own. Gassan, how are you, buddy? Is asking, should he get Digne or Doherty for Bellerin? I think I would go for Luca Digne at this point, given Everton's fixtures after the Spurs game. Wolves have quite a few tricky ones coming up. So I think Digne is probably going to be better value if you're bringing him in this week. Johnny Tomlinson, how are you, Johnny? Is asking, he's like me, he's thinking about selling Salah this week, and he's trying to choose between Sané and Hazard, and he's already got Sterling. So quite a few people are in this situation this week. So it's a tough decision. Do you get Sané to double up with Sterling, or do you get Hazard? I think in that case, I'd be going for Hazard, given his form and his fixtures. You've already got your City midfielder in Sterling. So the way I'd be looking at that is I'd be hoping that Sterling outscores Sané for the next few weeks and that Hazard continues to deliver. I think Hazard is, out of all the premium assets, I think Hazard is probably the must own for Christmas, given his form and fixtures. So that's the way I would go there. I would go Hazard and Sterling, and just leave Sané out. But it's a tough one. It's a tough one. Both great options. Galima is asking, if I had no Chelsea defensive cover, who would I prefer as a set and forget goalkeeper between Kepa or Fabianski? To me, that one is probably not really a question of coverage. It's more looking at the individual players and what they offer. So I am a big fan of Fabianski. I think he could be a set and forget for the rest of the season. And, he's a lot cheaper than Kepa, whatever you call him. I won't even attempt to pronounce his proper name. So I think I would go Fabianski. There's no reason not to go for Fabianski, given how well he's doing this season. And 4 great fixtures coming up as well, and it just allows you to spend $1 million elsewhere. So that always wins out for me. I'm all for the budget goalkeeper strategy this season. Dan is asking about. Dan mentions Alexander-Arnold. A lot of people are asking me this week as well. Who should they replace Alexander-Arnold with? But I would actually, if I owned Alexander-Arnold, I would be quite tempted to keep him because he's back soon. I think he may even be back for Boxing Day. I need to check that. But Liverpool are the best defence in the league, and when you've got one of their assets, I'd be quite, reluctant to move them on, even if they're, injured short term. He could do very well when he comes back. I know the issue always with him is rotation. Klein's back in the fold now, to add another bit of, doubt to things. He played very well against United, Klein as well. I'd completely forgotten about him. He hasn't played for a long time. But I would be tempted to keep TAA, Dan, and look at the other transfers that you talk about there. Hazard and Ings, that gets my blessing. 2 players that I'm going to own this weekend and I think can do very well over Christmas. Aubameyang out. A lot of people are thinking about Aubameyang out now, and I can see why. And I think Aubameyang out can be justified this week, even though he's got 2 great fixtures. Emery is an absolute nightmare. Aubameyang could easily play 45 minutes this week, the same as Lacazette's been doing, and it's just not ideal. And long term, I'm just going to move away from Arsenal strikers because you can't depend on them to play 90 minutes. So I would much prefer a cheap striker than Aubameyang and just get a midfielder who knows going to play every week. So that's where I'm going to go probably in 2 weeks' time. Get rid of Aubameyang and go cheap striker, go 3-5-2 and pump the cash into midfield. Robert is wishing me a Merry Christmas. Enjoy the holidays and do turn off from FPL for a bit. You've mentioned on the pod. Yeah, thanks for that, Robert, and have a good Christmas as well. It's obviously this is the busiest time of year for FPL, but I just feel like I do need a break. I'm guilty. I'm someone who's guilty of spending way too much time on FPL, too much time online, too much time on phones, laptops, and it does affect the mental health. So I think it's a good idea for me to take a break, refresh, recharge, and come back in January, ready to smash it, and hopefully help all of you to smash it as well. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the break. It's I haven't been back at home since July. For when I was back home to get married, and usually I go home a lot more often than that. I go home usually once a month or once every 6 weeks. So I'm really looking forward to getting back. I've got 3 little nieces, a 9-year-old, 7-year-old, and I've got a new niece who I haven't seen yet, who's 4 or 5 months old. So I'm really looking forward to getting back home, and I'll just be spending time with those little ones over Christmas. So I'm really looking forward to that. And as I say, I'll be switching off from FPL, but I'll still watch a few games with mates and stuff, and I'll watch Match of the Day whenever I can. But again, just really looking forward to getting back home now, and enjoying all things Christmas. It's my favorite time of year, so I'm looking forward to it. Justin not FPL related. Do I have a favourite Premier League team? Can you not tell by the colour of my kitchen and my Christmas hat? I'm a Man United fan. I have been since I would probably say 98, 99 when we won the treble. That was what sucked me in I was 8. I was born in 1990, so I was 8 or 9 years old in that year. So when Solskjaer was banging in 4 goals against Nottingham Forest and winning us the Champions League, that's where my football addiction started. My older brother was a Liverpool fan, and I remember having a Liverpool jersey when I was about 6 or 7. Ashamed to say, but thankfully I managed to get that out of my system and made the right choice at becoming a United fan. So hopefully, it's been a tough few years since Fergie left with Moyes and Van Gaal and Mourinho. It's been awful to watch, but hopefully Solskjaer will bring back some exciting attacking football that I can enjoy watching again, and hopefully they'll become FPL assets as well. Happy holidays, Dan. Enjoy yourself. Going to wrap this up in 5 minutes, folks. So any more questions, fire them in now before I head off. Brett is asking, what's the best option? A, Deulofeu to Snodgrass and bank a transfer, or Kane and Danny Ward to Ings and Sterling? Now that's a tough one. So it involves, either keeping Kane or selling Kane. I would want to own Sterling this weekend and captain him. So I would go for the Kane and Ward option to Ings and Sterling. And with those 2 moves, what you're essentially doing is you're giving yourself an extra player for Christmas as well, which is always good because Danny Ward doesn't play. You're getting Ings in who can, you're getting an extra player. So you're strengthening your squad. So that's the way I would go there. As much as I like Snodgrass, I prefer the Ings and Sterling move and Sterling captain. Jason, what Watford assets do I find most appealing? I've watched a lot of Watford this season, and they're probably one of the teams I've watched more often than others. They always just seem to be on TV when it suits me, and they're a great side. Javi Gracia he's impressed me with what he's doing this season at Watford, and the main guys are Pereira is still the one I like most. He was very unlucky in the 3-0 win. No, not the 3-0 win. It was 3-2 against Cardiff. And how he didn't get involved in assists or goals, I don't know. He had a lot of very good chances. Etheridge made a lot of good saves. So he's the number 1 pick, in my opinion, from Watford. I always have a soft spot for Holebas as well because of his set pieces. He scored, I think he's got 3 goals now and 4 assists. The problem with Watford is clean sheets, though. They don't really keep clean sheets. A lot of that's down to because Holebas is an awful defender. But yeah, Pereira is the main one. And I don't really think I'd go anywhere else apart from him at the moment. Max has 2 free transfers. He's thinking of going Salah and Duffy to either Hazard or Sterling and Luca Digne. So again, I like those moves. I'm doing something similar. I'm doing Salah to Sterling. So if I had to choose between Hazard and Sterling this week, that's a lot harder than Hazard and Sané. I think I would still go Sterling. I did an article for 90 Mat this week for their new monthly publication, and I ranked them number 1 Sterling, number 2 Hazard. So I do think Sterling. I do think I'd go Sterling over Hazard this week if I had to make that move. I think that's all questions answered, folks. Apologies if I missed it, but I think I've hit most of them. That's me on my holidays now, so it feels good. I'm really looking forward to this break to recharge and enjoy Christmas. If I get Danny Ings tonight, I will post it on my Patreon page, as I will do anytime over Christmas. Anytime I make a move, right away I'll stick it up on my Patreon page, and I'll post my team there as well before each deadline. And as I say, Slack and WhatsApp, I'll be online Friday the 28th, which is next Friday, for a couple of hours. And most likely in the morning time. And as well, on New Year's Eve, the 31st, I'll be online from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. So thanks for your support, folks. It means a lot. Without you guys, I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing. So it really does mean a lot to me, your support. And thank you. I can't thank you enough for that. And hopefully you're enjoying the content. And I'll be back in the new year with loads more. I'll have even more time to spend on Patreon in the January, February time when the fixtures calm down. So any feedback you have, any new features you'd like me to add, you guys are the customers, so it's your call. Anything you want from me, just ask, and I'll do my best to give it to you. So enjoy the festivities. Don't drink an FPL. That's the main one. That's going to be my biggest challenge, I think, over Christmas. And just enjoy the football. 2 weeks of an absolute binge of Premier League and FPL action. So enjoy it all, folks. And I wish you all green arrows. Cheerio, folks.